Really this time? What time is
It's
it?
live. We are live.
Oh, it is 3:30.
Do
Oh
you
my
want to welcome us?
gosh. Sorry. Welcome everybody to another edition of Silver Linings Podcast. It's Adam and Rex live on a Saturday or maybe a Sunday, depending on where you are in the world. We're happy to be here. We're happy to continue to do our podcast. And today's a little bit different with our podcast. I think so. Maybe a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, we wanted to make it a little different, a different subject. We thought it'd be worth talking about the responses from the last podcast because it was a very different podcast, and we knew it was when we were going. So uh, we kind of decided just before we hit record on that podcast, because the three of us, including Mary, the guest on the podcast, said, should we do it? Because we knew people would have strong feelings about the subject, talking about Alex. And even Adam's comment was, people don't want to hear good things about monsters or murderers or whatever description you want of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Mary that said, well, let's go ahead and do it and just not read the comments.
Right.
Because Mary had bad comments before because she talks about Alex like she did and like she wants to and like we did. And let's start out by saying just I know there aren't as many people on here as there probably will be in a few minutes, but I want to say at the beginning, because apparently we don't say it enough, and we know some people on the show are new. Maybe they haven't heard us say what we think about Lori and Alex and Chad and any other conspirators, known or unknown, that we want them to face the full extent of justice that they can face. What they did was abhorrent. I can't imagine actions more despicable than what they did. And they and anyone else should pay for it. So, and we even said on the show, nothing we say takes away from that. I mean, changes that. We don't try to justify, sugarcoat, or anything how horrible this is. But we found that the way we deal with it, we somehow can still know and love Lori and Alex, even though they horrendously murdered people we know and love and victimized other people that weren't murdered. And that victimizing extends, the ripples just aren't going to stop because it includes anyone that was offended by their actions to any degree. And we could see there are people that are still offended by their actions. And that's our community. We are all offended by their actions. And so we thought we'd talk about, because some people were more offended than others by the comments from our last podcast. So if you don't mind, Adam, I'll start.
Sure. But first, real quick, before you start, I want to say thanks to Missy and Melanie for being our moderators today, Kimberly and Lindsay for doing all the hard work that you do behind the scenes. I saw that Cammie is on here. She's one of my clients on Accountable. Make sure you're eating the right things today. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm just supporting you. We're doing good. We're completing week 1 tomorrow, so she's done very good. I'm proud of her. Great job with that. And everybody else on live that you're sending messages and stuff, checking in for wherever you are in the world. We say hello back to you. And we're here to answer any questions. I mean, we're going to be talking about our last podcast, but any other questions that you may have or want to ask, feel free to ask if it's on topic, off topic, whatever you want. But Rex and I, we just feel like we want to make sure that everybody knows what kind of community that we're trying to establish here.
And if we're doing shout outs, let me give another shout out to people that we don't even know that are listening and they're part of it. Because again, it's a very small percentage of y'all that comment. And so we try to read the comments when we can. We did this last time. But there's so many more people that aren't commenting that listen. And I was reminded a couple times this week about those people. Some of them are good friends to us. We ran into some good friends. We were out with friends last night, and we're at an ice cream shop that's just down the street from us. Ran into a couple of good friends I haven't seen for a couple of years since Lisa and I moved. And he said, "Yeah, we listened to your podcast." I had no idea he listened to our podcast. So shout out to Kelly and Judy and other people, their family members that listen to it. I didn't realize listened to it, Adam, and
our family members.
Our family members.
Oh,
and so we appreciate everyone that listens, whether you comment or not. You're still part of it, and we appreciate that. And so, we could spend the whole time doing shout outs, couldn't we? They're just
it's 11:35 in the UK, so we want to say hi to Sasha for staying up late at 11:35 on a Saturday night. I'd be sound asleep. Like tonight, I'm going to bed probably at 8 on Saturday night. Is that pathetic? Is that bad?
Well, you aren't as old as your dad, who goes to sleep at 5:30.
Well, I got up early. I got up early today. I had a whole day full of stuff, so it might be an early night for me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. But point being, we love this community. We love the people in it. Talking specifically about the last podcast where people voiced strong emotional opinions. We love that. We welcome that. We went through those. Not all of them were as kind as we wish they were. And Adam, I don't think you and I care if they're kind to us. We know we put ourselves out here, and so we faced that before. I wish some of the comments about Mary were a little more kind, since she's a guest and she's just trying to express how she feels. And when you have a guest and they're only on one time, so you've only heard them once, maybe you've heard her on another podcast a few years ago, you don't get to hear the complete context of their comments. And I'm finding that people take exception to anything anyone says, and they voice opposition to, again, opinions, etc. But I don't think we ever need to be rude to the people or about the people that are voicing them.
Yeah.
But what I feel we need, and the reason I am so encouraged by this community, especially since we decided to go ahead with that podcast last time, because as soon as we said that, Adam, I said to myself, well, this will be a good milestone or measuring point of where our community is. Can we really voice what we want to in the community? And after the comments, I deleted one comment upon request. We had one of our good regular followers say, "Could you just delete that comment?" And I looked at it as just one word, as a swear word, just one word. I said, I'll delete it, not because we're the swearing police here,
right?
But just because, since it's just one word, I didn't know if it applied to the opinions that were being expressed or the person. And on the off chance that the person was reading it and they thought it applied to them, I thought, yeah, that's going too far to be that mean about a person. So I deleted the comment. We didn't block the person that made the comment. I just deleted that one comment. But that was the only one. I will say at the outset here, Adam, that we want the ability in the community to disagree and to express it. And I loved how many disagreements there were with us or each other that were handled at least diplomatically. Some of them very straightforward, but again, saying, I can't stand this. These people are monsters. I don't think this is appropriate. We need to be able to talk about, debate, all of that. Especially in the United States here, it's an election year, and things are so divisive. We all just wish people could be oppositional in a more kind way. So I would invite. I'm not demanding. I'm not even saying it has to happen. I just invite anyone who commented on our last podcast to go back, read their comment, see if there might be a way they could edit it and say it a little bit nicer. Okay. I'm not saying they were all rude. I'm not saying everyone needs to. I'm not saying anyone needs to. But the more we can find nice ways to disagree and comment to each other and carry on conversations when we disagree, the stronger this community is. And we love this community and want that for it. Sorry, Adam, to jump on that soapbox. But
that's okay.
I
have a lot of things to say too, but first I'm going to answer this question from, I think, Sarah. She says, when I was in Wichita, what was my radio name there? You're in Wichita. What are you doing in Wichita, Kansas? My radio name there was Lucas. I was on a radio station, B98. So yeah, Lucas and Careth in the morning was the show. Thank you for asking, and good luck in Wichita. I love that town. Go to the Chicken and Pickle and play pickleball there. It's amazing.
Let me say, since we're talking Wichita, my granddaughter, Livy, great soccer player. She's going to a national playoff or championship there in Wichita.
Nice.
As a soccer player. So she's going to your old stomping grounds too.
So yeah, feel free to ask any questions you want today on the live. Rex and I will be on here for an hour answering questions. Just going back real quick, what happened last week with Mary? I met Mary a long time ago with Alex. And I think, like Rex said, I think everybody should be allowed to have whatever feelings that you have from this case, because everybody's in a different position to have the feelings that they have. You could never have heard of our family before, watch this. You hate Alex and you hate Lori, which is totally understandable because what they did. But unfortunately, some of us grew up with them and knew them before all this happened. And so we have a completely different perspective than you do. So allowing us to talk about them before all this stuff is okay for us to do, and you should allow us to say that without being upset over it. You can then be upset and say, hey, I don't want to hear about how good of a person they were, or you don't have to listen to that. I mean, you obviously, there's some people say, well, I'm never going to listen to your podcast again because we said something good we were laughing about the things that Alex did or the way he was before he did all these things. Now, obviously, some of you have a perspective that everybody who's ever done something bad in life has always been bad. I've heard that. Alex and Lori were always evil their whole life. I've heard a lot of people say that. Unfortunately, you weren't around, so you don't know that. So, but you have an opinion, and we're allowing everybody to have whatever opinion you want to have. You can say whatever you want, but like what Rex said, don't get to the point where you're mad at somebody. Just have your feelings. It's like, look, I can't imagine Alex was ever like that because of what he did or whatever that is. But yeah, when you're making, saying bad things about, Mary's crazy and she needs to be in a loony bin, or like what, because of the way that she felt about Alex, because she, had a long friendship relationship with him. And, our perspective on this podcast is us talking about our relationships with our family members, our perspective on what Lori and Alex were before this and how we feel about it. And, Rex and I have this is part of our healing journey. This is part of our healing, is to talk about that. That episode with Mary made me feel so much. I felt, I don't know, more relieved about certain things and help me heal. So if helping me heal hurts you, then I would say don't if that's going to be your point where you don't want us to have an opinion or have a feeling for something, then yeah, I would say don't watch. But you don't need to make comments about, Mary needs to be in a loony bin for saying that or whatever. So that's my whole take on it. I love everybody in the community. I think we've accomplished a lot of great things on this podcast. And obviously, I said everybody has the right to their own opinion. Just don't be mean to people when you're doing it. You can express your opinion. Oh, I think Alex is a terrible person, what he did. And we're agreeing with you. He did some terrible things at the end of his life, was terrible. And I would agree with that. But I would say that allow everybody to feel how they want to feel. You need to let me and Rex feel how we feel. Let us talk. If you want to make a comment, Rex and I aren't ever attacking any of you for anything. And if you want to trade places with us and feel what it's like to be us, then, think about that before you make those decisions that you're writing. That's my opinion. You could probably go on here and make comments and rip me up and down if you want. I'm just saying how I felt about after the last podcast. It really helped me heal to talk about Alex like that, because I still haven't grieved Alex. I still don't even know how to grieve Alex. I didn't even know what to do. He was my brother forever, and we had a great relationship before he snapped and went off on this whole thing with Lori. So I wasn't invited to his funeral or whatever it was that they had, live celebration. So I have a lot of mixed feelings for Alex, and I still haven't even dealt with any of them. So with that being said, allow everybody to just let everybody have their own feelings without being mean or upset, or just know that everybody's going to feel different about it.
Yeah, let me add to that too. A couple things. I've gone to therapy, and with a couple therapists. Adam likes to point that out.
Yes.
Here's one of the things I learned. And what we're doing, because Adam, we saw on there again, we've seen comments of it's inappropriate to smile or laugh at certain things.
Yeah.
First of all, the comments about me and Adam, and I'll talk about me specifically, I agreed with most of them, especially that one of, oh, that's inappropriate to laugh at this time or that time. Yes, I am with you on that. I don't know how to be necessarily appropriate. Okay. And I found out why, because there are a couple times I was sitting in court with my daughters during Lori's trial, finding out how the children died. That's just overwhelmed me. And I didn't know how to act. And I looked at my daughter. I've told this story before. I looked at my daughter, and she had the right look on her face. And I said, what are you feeling? You aren't supposed to talk in court, but no one yelled at us for it. We were talking quietly. I said, what are you feeling? She said, I am so enraged right now. And I thought, that's it. This has enraged me. And that's how we got through, because we could just acknowledging we are enraged. That's how this daughter and I got through it. And later in counseling, my counselor said, yeah, that's a coping mechanism. And he said, but rage just covers up other feelings. What was it? We delved into it, and I cried like a little baby, and we talked about it. But it's a coping mechanism, and humor is a coping mechanism. When we talk about this, especially here in front of other people, I mean, I went out of that courtroom and then was on TV. I mean, there are people wanting to interview us. And one of my daughters went and saw the autopsy photos and then went out and did an interview with Nate Eaton. And I thought, how did you do that? How could you see those photos and then keep it together to do an interview? I guess I had to do the same thing. And I told one time when I was interviewing one of those people, and they asked me basically the same thing, how I could talk about it, because it was so raw and fresh. And I said, because my mind right now is disassociating. I am not thinking of what happened to the children. If I did, I would do like I do when I'm by myself and think about it and be a blubbering mess on the floor. Okay. So I disassociate. And when we disassociate like that, I'm not talking about them. I'm not thinking about what happened to them. And I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, by the way, when we're talking about people that took exception to what we said, we're talking about a few people. We aren't talking about everyone. The vast majority of y'all are so kind, understanding, loving. But just to help the people that wonder why we laugh inappropriately or smile at inappropriate times, we're coping. It's a coping mechanism, and it's rarely appropriate to everyone that's watching.
Yeah.
So even then, I had a smile come out
Right.
when we're talking about this. That's not appropriate. I get it. I'm with you on that. I just don't know. I'm not better than that. That's the best I can do.
Well, going back to some of the things on the last podcast, and we're going to break down a few things. One of them, Mary said something about she sees Alex in heaven with the kids. And that surprised me too. And I don't feel that way. And I don't know if Rex feels that way either. Obviously, Mary has her own, and Mary's allowed to have her opinion of what she thinks. And that if that's a spiritual thing or religious thing or whatever Mary was telling us, she has the right to say that. We don't have, and to be honest with you, we don't know. Like I don't see Alex in heaven with the kids right now. I mean, that statement to me, I was pulled back a little bit. I didn't say anything to Mary at that time because I feel like she's allowed to have that vision and that's how she feels. And I'm like, okay, I don't have that. I don't think Rex has that. Maybe he did, but I didn't bring it up to anybody. I let Mary do what she, say the things that she says. Unfortunately, none of us know what's going on the other side because none of us are there. So, I mean, what if we're all wrong and Mary's right? Who knows? Nobody knows these things. But I feel like if somebody has something to say and that's how they feel, just let them feel that. Don't be like, oh, I can't believe she would say something like that. That's how she feels. That's the experience that she had with Alex before all this stuff happened. Or maybe that's her religious beliefs or whatever it is. So that's the kind of thing I think that gets people. We all need to just step back for a second when people, the judging is so, we don't want this to be a community of judgment.
Yeah.
And we want it to be an opinion, which is great. But judging people or condemning people for their opinions or how they feel, that's the thing where I'm just like, I didn't say anything to Mary when she said that. And I was like, what? But she's allowed to have that.
Yeah. And I don't know, like you said, Adam, I don't know how things work outside of this life. I'm Christian, so I like to think I have a picture of what I've been taught, what it's like after this life. I really don't know. I have beliefs, but I don't know. In my belief, though, I think you're closer to Alex than you think, Adam, because how hot is it there in Phoenix today?
Oh, it's I think 114.
Yeah, so that's probably closer to where Alex is. At least that direction. I don't picture him in heaven with the kids, but Mary did, and that's the point. And so I like what Jam says in this comment on the screen we have. She said, she or he. With Jam, I'm not sure which it is. I think she said some things that really crossed the line, like that Alex is in heaven with the kids. Yeah, that crossed a line. We all draw our own lines. And so that crossed a line that wasn't my line, and it wasn't Jam's line, apparently. But Jam goes on to say, however, I didn't mind her saying she wanted to remember Alex the way he was as her friend. Okay, so Jam's expressing just what we're talking about. Hey, for me, that's crossing the line, but I appreciate this. Okay, there's a good attempt at least to see both sides and not to vilify Mary or what she said. So that reminded me I need to get into more. We haven't done any of or very few of these comments.
Yeah, let's see I'm trying to scroll on my finger and I can't get to all these comments.
From Kristen Pollock, Alex had a life before he fell down the rabbit hole. I appreciate hearing about his humanity. He did, and most of us that knew him can't think of Alex without laughing. Just because that's
Yeah, I know. So one of the comments is, "Oh, just yuck it up with good old Al. He murdered 4 people." So people just take, they have to make those kinds of comments. So that's judgment. That's judging. That's the stuff that I think that we don't really want to go down that road. And if you have an opinion about it, what's the opinion? Not like the judgment.
Yeah. And someone asked about his memorial service, so I'll mention this. There are only a few people there. It was quiet. There weren't ashes from his cremation. Someone was asking about the timing, saying, well, he got cremated really fast to destroy evidence. No, they did a full autopsy and did whatever toxicology screening they could do. But from what I understand from law enforcement people that I've heard talk about this, unless you know what the poison is you're looking for, you just can't test for all possible poisons. Yeah. It's just there are too many, and so they didn't find the poison that killed him. And I and Adam and many of you continue to believe he was poisoned.
The other question too, Rex, since I wasn't at the memorial, I wasn't invited, but you somehow finagled your way in there. Did Lori go to it, and did Zulema go to it?
Lori didn't go. It was organized by Zulema and Janice. And I don't know
Lori didn't show up.
No, Lori, okay. I believe Lori and Chad were in Hawaii.
We're in Hawaii at that time. Okay.
I don't know why they didn't.
So Zulema was at there. She ran the memorial.
She being the wife at the time. See how this went down. Janice, your mom, my sister, was told about Alex's death and that
he was married.
His wife would be in charge of things. That was how Janice found out Alex and Zulema were married. That's how we all found out when I got contacted and said, hey, Alex died. And I wanted some details. They said, yeah, his wife's son. Wait a minute. Alex isn't married. Yeah. Yes, he is. And so, and it's not like there's a lot of information, but they kind of got together and Janice was apparently helping Zulema invite people because they wanted it so quiet and there's so much division and no one knew who was on whose side, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they didn't want media there. They didn't want people there that were going to cause problems.
They didn't want me there because I thought Alex was a murderer. So they were like, nope, he's not coming.
And I hadn't had the interaction with him that Adam had, even though I thought that. But I felt I'll go to a memorial service for Alex, even though I believe he did the murders that we knew of at the time. And it was a different Alex. The people, Zulema and her circle, there's, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 of them and 8 or 10 family members there. I mean, that's all the people that were there because it was very quiet, very secretive.
Here's another question I have since I wasn't invited to the memorial. Was Zulema's son there, the one that found Alex?
I'm trying. I don't remember meeting him. I remember meeting 2 of her daughters.
And so
he may have been there, but I didn't categorically meet everyone that was there, even though it was only about 20 people.
And when he found Alex dead on the toilet or in the bathroom, he didn't know that Alex and Zulema were married either, right?
He said in the 911 call, her boyfriend.
Okay, so he had no idea.
So we don't think he knew either.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of holes in a bunch of stories from the A to Z, from when Charles got killed all the way through everything. The kids, Tammy, Brandon, Alex, all of it.
So anyone at the memorial had a chance to say something. The reason I got up and said things is because they were painting a picture of Alex that I didn't know him like that. And I was sitting with one of my daughters was invited, others were not, because they were, people didn't know who thought what, and it just wasn't the same Alex we knew that they were portraying as this person that was spiritual, caught up in, in this religion. And he is a good example of this religion. Of course, I didn't know what religion they were talking about. And
the Chad and Lori religion, of course.
Yeah. And your mom was talking, and she said something about his spirituality. And my daughter and I said out loud, I mean, it's not a big place. So out loud, what? Are you kidding me, Alex? Spiritual? And Janice, your mom, laughed and said, well, as spiritual as Alex would be. She thought it was funny too, because none of us in our family think of Alex as the word spiritual and Alex we've never said those words in close proximity of each other. So that was actually a funny moment there. And when I got up, well, it's a long story. You don't care about.
Let's get to all these questions. There's a bunch of people have a lot of questions. So let's get to some of those.
Okay. Kate Watts says, hello from Ontario, Canada. Hello. Love the podcast. You guys are so understanding. Thank you for that. We appreciate nice comments, even if we don't know why they came. We'll take them.
And I think understanding is a good word for everybody to, non-judgment, understanding, allow everybody to feel how you want to feel. That's what this community should be, is like allow people to heal how they're going to heal without judging or making, mean comments or anything like that.
Yeah. Mean comments about people other than Chad, Lori, and Alex.
Right. Yeah.
Co-conspirators. We understand that a little bit more than making mean comments about each other.
Yeah.
Guest on the show.
So Rex and I make mean comments about Lori, Chad, and Alex all the time. We're always making mean comments about them because we're angry with them. And so we understand that. And
we may make a few mean comments other times too. We aren't perfect at this either. Yes. We aren't claiming to be.
Yeah.
Seattle Candy Company says, don't worry, guys. I'm here, always neutral, on your side till the end. Thank you for that. We appreciate
up in Seattle.
Kind comments. Yep. My old stomping grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Terry asked, when is the next Patreon meeting? We were talking about that, but didn't set that. So Adam, we need to.
First, let's talk about the very first Patreon meeting.
Sure.
When was it? Last Sunday?
Last Sunday.
Last Sunday, we had our first Patreon meeting, and it's basically just a Zoom meeting with Rex and I. Lindsay's on there, and then the Patreons that want to be on there to ask, just talk. It's not even like a topic thing. We just sat there and chit chatted. And there was, I think, only 2 or 3 that made it on there, and so we just had a very intimate conversation about their lives and situations, and it was pretty powerful, pretty amazing stuff. So. Yeah. Lindsay's going to send out to the Patreons a time and a day that works for everybody, or the best times. And then we'll plan another Zoom meeting with all the Patreons and have another intimate meeting with them.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that. It doesn't matter to ask how many are there. If it gets to be the size that not enough people get a chance to speak or can speak, we'll do an extra one. But we aren't at that size yet. They're only about, 5 or 6 of us, three of the patrons. But we're fine with any size. That's just an intimate gathering there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Adam, Garrett Elliott says, my mom was so flattered by your kind words. So thanks. Now, is this a relative of Mary's? So Garrett, you're going to have to tell us who your mom is.
Was flattered by your kind words. What did I say? Kind words? I don't remember.
Yeah, so we're wondering when we said kind words. So apparently we do have kind words.
Well, you're welcome. You're really welcome. Yeah, let us know what that is, so we can know.
Yeah, and Garrett, good to hear from you too.
Yeah.
As Mia Louise Travel says, it's all about respect. That's a good way to summarize what we were saying. Let's just be respectful to other people, their opinions.
Let's have Rex sing the song. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Go, Rex. Go.
Yeah, you pick it up from there.
Go. No, you're the singer in the family.
Yeah. I am
You're
like,
the one that every time you
I'm
pick
the
me up in your
last
car, you
singer.
have all these songs ready to roll on you have your whole iPod thing ready to go. You got
I
lots of
definitely
music.
have my playlist,
Your
and it is,
playlist, yeah. You're the
as
singer.
Kimberly would attest, it is a wide variety. Okay. So, yeah, I won't be singing any Aretha Franklin or Blues Brothers.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
great song from there. Edie or Eddie, not quite sure. Eddie Ruth, I've always watched, not sure I've ever commented. So, hello, welcome. Thank you for your
Yes.
first comment, and hello back to you.
Hello, and thank you for commenting. Thanks for being part of the group, the family. There's a podcast that's coming out on Tuesday. We interviewed one of our optimists, or I would say somebody who's claims to be an optimist is her whole life, but uh, I feel like, I mentioned a family a lot in there. It's like our group. We have so many, people that bond together because of everybody's hardships that we go through. And I think this is a bonding moment for a lot of us. So yeah, I consider everybody, we're just one big family.
Let's talk a little bit more about that guest. I believe the podcast will go up on Tuesday.
And she lives in St. George too. She's one of Lisa's friends, or Lisa knew her or knows her.
Yeah, Lisa knows her. So
Okay.
she's one of Lisa's friends. This is her book, Faith in the Middle. Her name's Debbie Heisler. I think
Nice.
y'all will really enjoy this.
Yeah.
She had a tragedy, a horrific tragedy in her family, in the news here when it happened. And she writes about that. But in addition to that, she's had domestic abuse in her family, and then a family member was killed related to domestic abuse. And this is her book on Amazon, Faith in the Middle, a memoir, and is a great example of a real person, just as real as you can be, like any of us and other optimists we've heard from, either on the show or send us emails. How do you deal with a senseless death in your family that you can't understand, and it's so tragic? And what do you do with that? What do you do about it? Well, she didn't just write a book. She actually organized and established a place that's a safe place for, let's see, how do we describe it, Adam?
It's a drop-off place for people who have divorced kids, and you have custody, and you have to supervise visits. And there's a place that she came up with a place because there wasn't one that even existed. So she did a fantastic job explaining a lot of things. And if you've ever been through domestic violence or know somebody who has, her story is really amazing because she went through it, and then her son ended up dying from it. So. And I feel bad because I really took over that interview and I didn't let Rex talk the whole time.
It wasn't about me. So.
I was so involved with her life and how things are going. I just kept on asking question after question. So I apologize for that. If you watch the interview and it's too much me, I apologize.
Yeah, well, since it was nothing about me, I didn't need to be talking. But her story is compelling. But what she's done, in addition to establishing that, she also became a grief counselor and is an active grief counselor. And there are people in our community who are going through grief right now.
Yeah.
Similarly, and we'll find a lot of hope and encouragement in her words. So
that's coming out on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, that'll be next week's podcast.
Yep.
Okay. So Seattle Candy Company says it's better to have those conversations on here than going online and repeating the conversation from her memory. Talking about Mary's conversation could cause suspicion or confusion as to your true intent. Just a thought. Good thought, Seattle Candy Company. Yeah, we want her on here talking because at least you have a little context here when you hear it, as opposed to just going out there. And I wanted to put this comment up there, Adam, for a couple reasons. One, because it's good just all by itself, but also I was on another podcast and saw a comment that I went on there because I was looking for something specific from from Kresha, so it was on her podcast, and we love Kresha. There's nothing wrong with her podcast, but someone was on there disparaging us, about, I don't know, whatever people say when they disparage us. And I thought, we probably get a lot of that out there. I forget, because when I'm in this community, I feel so loved and protected by everyone, and out there's still people that think like that. So we certainly aren't immune to that, and we're fine. They had the comment was, well, I was on Silver Linings. She didn't call it podcast. She had a derogatory term for it, Silver Lining something, and you know how they are, and off like that. And I thought, I am glad those people feel like another podcast is the place to vent that, instead of having to come on here and vent it.
Yeah.
And so we said that before, Adam, on other people that talk about us. Yeah, if you don't want to listen to us, there are those other podcasts, and you'll find like-minded people that also didn't want to listen to us, so they went to other podcasts. So
yeah, but when you watch when you watch a lot of these other podcasts, and I haven't watched any of them, I've just heard from other people that it's a lot of negativity, and I've had so much negativity in my life. I want to surround myself with positive people. I want to be around positive people. I want to be around optimists. I want to be around people who try to their best, even on your bad day. We're trying to be happy. We're trying to be positive. Because once you start hanging around negative people and surrounding yourself and being in podcasts with negative people, you become negative. And so that's why I think we're way different than anything else you're going to watch on all these other podcasts.
Yeah, and I'll say we give a family perspective, not the family perspective. We said before, we aren't spokespeople for our family. Our family doesn't have a spokesperson.
Everybody's different. Everybody's different in our family,
and it's not getting any closer. Everyone's got to hold their own opinions. I think forever. I think that's going to be our new normal in our family.
Yeah.
And we're just working on relationships. We don't try to convince each other about, our beliefs about the case. We're just trying to, learn how to get by with what we have. So I got distracted by another good comment here.
All right, let's roll. Well, great comments, by the way. Thanks for listening to us live, and also for asking questions and participating in our live podcast. We love that.
Yeah, and this is close to the question is along the same lines I was saying as family members. We give a family perspective because some people want that, because we're all trying to figure out how someone could do something so deprived and depraved. Are those two different words? Anyway, so disgusting is what the murderers did to especially Tylee and JJ. How could someone get there? And so people want to know. And so that's why we don't mind talking about Alex. And, I was talking to one of my therapists just the other day, a good friend of mine. We're talking about this. He said, people just want reassurance that they could never do this. And it's not there for them. The human condition is such that anyone could do deprived things, and history is full of examples of that. And I know some people have strong opinions this, because when we say this, Adam, even though it doesn't come from us directly, people will adamantly, passionately defend themselves.
Yeah. And
I get it. And I'm glad you feel that way. I'm glad you will never do something like this. Hopefully none of us will.
I'm getting sidetracked because Lindsay and Kimberly are on a roll on the chat over here. Lindsay's like, since I wasn't invited to my brother's memorial, Lindsay's like, well, Adam, when I have mine, you are invited. And then Kimberly said, me too. And bring a cow with you. This is how we do it. These are the kind of things we have to do to deal with this kind of. Yeah.
So Adam, now you know why I have, ever since I was 50 years old, since I turned 50, maybe even 40, I wanted to have my own funeral, because I would like to be there, because at a funeral, people say nice things about you.
Right. Yes. Oh, of course, yours will be a roast.
Well, that's what happened. Finally, when I married Lisa, I said, you know what? Now maybe, because my daughters would never do it. So when I
Yeah.
married Lisa, I said, hey, I'd really like to do this. Of course, she talked to the daughters about it. It was still a hard no.
Yeah.
Finally, for my 60th birthday, we had a roast for my, because at least if they aren't going to say nice things about me
Yeah.
and get people to say things, I just want to be there when they said them. So we had two roasts. We had one in St. George. We had one in Phoenix. Adam was, in Wichita.
Yeah.
But we had one in Phoenix, and Alex was the roast master. He was in charge of that one. I know people don't like to hear we were close. And
don't mention Alex don't mention Alex being your roast master at your 60th birthday party, and don't mention that he was funny, and don't mention that he was normal back then. Just don't do it. You're asking for people to just rip you up and down.
Right. Well, it's out there now.
Yeah.
Darlene Butler said, just to let you know, I enjoyed the interview with Mary again, as most people did. And most people expressed that on there. So we keep going on about it as though there's this overwhelming wave of opposition. That's not it.
Yeah.
Again, I say before, Alex was a murderer. He was somebody's loved one. Yeah. Well, good. Well said there, Darlene. And thank you for that. Kate Watts says, do you think it's a waste of time? We're switching subjects here. Do you think it's a waste of time with Lori going to court again? I just thought it was a waste of money. Lori's not going anywhere. That's a good point, Kate. What do you think about that, Adam?
Sorry, I was reading another comment. Somebody's mentioning my hat, so about a silver hat, and I don't know what's. All right, sorry. Back up to the question one more time. Read it for me.
So, is it a waste of time for Lori to be going to court again since she has 3 life sentences?
I mean, in my opinion, and Charles deserves, closure and deserves justice. But if we all know what Lori and Alex already did with Charles, we all know that they killed him. Yes, she's guilty of doing that. She's going to get another life sentence or 2 or whatever it is. To me, I don't know. Some people disagree with me, but I feel like you've already have life sentences. They can just say, Lori's guilty of this without even having a trial. She's never going to say anything. She's just going to go stand there, and there's going to be court, and people are going to, present all this stuff. And Lori's never going to say a word except for at the very end when she reads off her little thing that she writes in her La La Land about, Charles is probably in heaven, with the kids, and whatever she's going to say, whatever crazy thing like she said last time. So I just think it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. We all know that, Charles was murdered by both of them, and she's already in prison. She's going to prison for it. So, and that's, I guess, if you want to do letter of the law, then have the court, I guess.
Yeah, I have a slightly different opinion. Just what Adam was saying at the beginning. Yes, Charles deserves his justice, or Charles' family deserves justice. I'm a little bit like Mary in the fact I don't believe in closure. I don't think any of us will say, well, this is done, and
now I feel better, or I feel different now.
Yeah, you aren't going to feel better when you've lost them and they're going to be gone. However, court has brought out a whole lot of answers to questions, and I still have a whole lot more questions that I would love to get answers to. So I want the trials to go on selfishly because I'm hoping more answers will come out. I'm hoping, since the indictments say all conspirators, known and unknown, I'm hoping some of those unknown conspirators will be made known and face the justice that they need to face for whatever part of the conspiracy they have. So that having those more courts makes it, to me, gives me hope. I understand the waste of time, money, the emotional energy that goes into it for a whole lot of people. Okay, but I'm just hopeful for that. So thanks for that question, Kate Wells. Our own Kimberly B. Adam wanted to share this comment. This is a community for anyone with empathy and desire to learn and connect with new people. Love that description.
Yeah, that's really good. That's what it is. It really is that.
Well said, Kimberly.
Kimberly, by the way, she's got a huge vocabulary. She's super smart. So
yeah, you can't say those words here on the air.
I tell Kimberly, this is how I feel. This is what I want to say. And then she'll like type up something that's amazing. I was like, I would never say. We should have actually had Kimberly, after we tell her how we wanted to write the book, have her write it and send it to Jane.
Okay.
The next three chapters.
People will know it's too smart and too witty for us, so they'll know it didn't come from us, Adam.
Yeah. The thoughts. I have good ideas and good thoughts. My follow through is terrible.
As a matter of fact, Jane and Aiden made so much of our writing so much better than it was. I can tell when it's not from us.
Oh, no doubt. When I was reading the audio, when I was reading our book, the audio version, I was reading it. I was like, wait, what? It's like Lori's golden hair was reflecting off the sun. I was like, what? Hold on, time out. I didn't say that.
Yeah, you can tell when Adam and I didn't know how to pronounce the words that they didn't come from us.
Yeah, when you listen to the audiobook, you're like, what did he say?
Those parts were surely
I'm like, I don't know that word. I don't even know what that word means.
Yeah, but we sure appreciate what they did.
Oh yeah, they did a great job with the book.
Okay, I'm not putting it up there because I've already scrolled by it, Adam, but Sherry Gould said you inspired her and her husband to look into pickleball, see what pickleball is.
Oh, again, pickleball is such a great sport for anybody who's really not athletic or athletic. And it's great because it's social, it's fun. Everybody can do it. You don't have to be in great shape to do it. And it's a fun game. It really, and then it gets addictive. So be careful with that.
Okay. Clarabella asks this. We're back to Alex here. Did you both grieve the Alex you once knew before he died? Now, I didn't, because I didn't know the extent of the change before he died. I didn't know the extent of it. When I killed Charles, now I'm knowing he changed. That's not the same person that loved Charles.
My thing is
grieving because I didn't know he was lost at the time.
Well, I knew that Alex was starting to follow Lori. I didn't know how far Alex was following Lori. I didn't know, because at one point he laughed when Lori and Chad, I guess, said that Charles was Ned, and then there's another time where he is like, "Oh, I think that's really Ned." So I think he was trying to figure out if what they were telling him was the thing or not. And then I think what really did it for him was Chad putting his hands on his head and giving him these outrageous blessings and saying that he was this angel from a previous life. And he really got caught up in a lot of the craziness and really bought into it hook, line, and sinker. So I didn't, I guess I would grieve a little bit just going, ow, why can't you see this? Or why are you, but I didn't have a chance to talk to him because, Lori told him to cut everybody, he cut me off. I was the first one to be cut off. I think Lori and Alex and everybody, Summer, and my mom and dad, they all talk still briefly. But Lori cut my mom and dad off at some point, cut Summer off at some point. So I don't know how all that went down, but yeah, it was just a sad thing to watch, and not knowing what Alex was doing, and what he thought and all those things. So I don't know if I'm ever going to grieve him. I don't know if I can. I don't know if it's possible, because I'm so upset of what he did, and so disappointed. And so, yeah, it's hard. That's a hard one, because I loved him. I thought we had so many great times together growing up, and then having this, having him be involved with killing Tylee and JJ, and oh my gosh, it's just like, it's two extremes. And so I just can't even get to the point where I think I can grieve him.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't want to go down this road. I'm like looking around. I'm looking around, just like, talking to myself.
This is this is what we want to talk about here, because we're talking about healing, and it's an important point, Adam, that you've chosen not to go to a counselor. And I like that point because, my point is not everyone needs fill in the blank, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Other than everyone needs to follow their own conscience. And when the time is right, if the time is right, I think you'll go to a counselor if you find the right one. And that's what everyone should do. So I don't think there's a set way that any one person should grieve. And I think you're just a good example of that. Let's hear from Dog Mom again here. Rex, I want to let you know that my friend has successfully listened to me and gotten away from the cult. And I want to let you know that I appreciate everything you've gone over. Thank you, Dog Mom. And I'll confess, I don't remember the situation. And so if I had something to do with it, I am glad I did. But thank you for bringing that up. And I'm sorry I don't remember. It's just I am pretty old.
Oh, what'd you have for breakfast yesterday?
Yesterday? How should I know? Good grief. That's pretty demanding.
I think she mentioned that one of her friends was going down one of those rabbit holes with like a group or something, and you were telling her or him to follow their conscience of what to do about it, which is good. Always good to do that.
I remember that now. See, this is why one reason for which Adam and I are a good team. Adam, you can be my memory. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I do remember it, Dog Mom.
Yeah.
Amy Holcomb says, do you think that Lori truly believed in the extreme? Okay, we've talked about this before. It's good to bring this up because not everyone's heard it. Do you truly think that Lori truly believed in the extreme religious beliefs, portals and zombies, or do you think she used religion to get what she wanted, i.e. new relationship and no children to raise? Yes. Adam, your thoughts?
I think there's a little bit of both. I think that she believed something. I think she really believed in Chad, but then I also think that she wanted, power and she wanted to, all this glory and all this other stuff. So I think there's a mixture, like with, some people say, well, it's just about one thing. I think there's like 5 things rolled up to one. That's why this case was so crazy. It's because it's not just one. There's not just one thing. It wasn't just to kill Charles to get money, because or kill the kids for money. That's not. There's a lot of things involved in it, and part of it is a scheme and the way that manipulation, and then wanting to believe what you shouldn't, and ignoring your conscience. Like, I think, but I don't know how, once you get a delusion, I don't know how delusion works. I don't know how that works in your brain. To me, I've never had a delusion, so I don't understand it. I don't understand a lot of the people who are mentally ill, understand how they think or why they do things. But it's hard for people to try to, figure this out.
It is. That's why we talk about it, because we're still figuring it out. And I believe my beliefs are gelling in this regard, what happened to Lori. And when the crap went in, she knew it was crap. And then it got in her delusion and became her reality. I think that happened to Alex, but Alex didn't create a whole alternative universe. He just went along with Chad and Lori. But Lori, once it got in there and she accepted it as part of her alternative reality, it became part of her. So yes, I believe she believed it once it got in there, and she used it. And Adam describes this as a perfect storm of evil. And that's just what he is saying. Perfect storm, all of it. Yes, she believed it. It all came together. She used it to get what she wanted, to justify killing the children, get Alex involved in killing the children, all of that. So I am down about that. Brown. Is Rex saying we need a little Rodney King action in this community? That's now a historic, Barbara. I understand what you're saying. A historic reference from the Rodney King big controversy in this country several years ago. Why can't we all just get along? Yes, I think we all can get along. and it's all about the respect, as we've heard already today.
RESPACT. Okay, Rex, come on. You got to hit one line. You got to do one line. You're the singer in the family. Go one line.
I've never been.
I know you know the words to it.
You went to the Megan concert. You know Megan is an incredible singer, and she is in our family.
Well, you are a little bit better than Megan. You are at the top of the family, and then Megan's after that.
We aren't even in the same, in the same hemisphere. So moving along, Mia Louise Travels. Have you been on Mormon Stories with John DeLynn? I don't think I've seen you from memory. No, you haven't seen us, and you won't.
I'm not. I don't go on a lot of podcasts. I especially anything that's negative. I try to stay away from all negative stuff if I can.
Yeah, and I want to bring this one up as we hit the hour point, because this is from my good friend Jeannie Marie, and I say good friend. I got to meet her in Salt Lake. She came into the meet and greet. Give her a hug. I'd called her out, not called her out like in a bad way, but I used her as a good example, and I want to do it again here. And especially with this question. Said, have you entertained the idea that possibly you've been misguided or had the wool pulled over your eyes by Lori or your parents? Yes, definitely. Okay. And possibly, was this what happened to the guest as well? Yes. Could have happened to the guest, but she didn't have much interaction with Lori and the parents. I wouldn't speak to the guest having the wool pulled over her eyes. But Adam and I have said, how many times have we said, Adam, from, I don't know, maybe the second or third podcast in?
We may not be right. We may not. These are our opinions. They may be completely wrong. This is just how we feel.
Yeah, we stopped saying, I know, or that wouldn't have been, no, that's not Alex, that's not. We stopped saying that early on and acknowledged we don't know. So Jeannie Marie, the wool pulled over her eyes by Lori. Yes. It wasn't until Charles was killed that I went back and got the court documents to read about Joe. Because until then, the wool had been pulled over my eyes by Lori and the family. I mean, that was the family narrative. And that was the beginning of me questioning all of it, all the way back. So not only have I entertained the idea, I have taken up residence with the idea that I've been wrong, and I've been duped. And so But
in what context is she talking about a guest and us being duped by Lori? What context is that?
Well, the guest was probably Mary. And that's why I said I wouldn't say that about Mary, because she didn't have the experience with Lori, or the family. She just knew Alex. And so did Alex pull the wool over her eyes? I don't believe that. I think she knew the Alex we were talking about, that we knew before he.
Right. So what is Jeannie Marie saying, that Alex wasn't the person that Mary said he was before he turned into an evil person?
She might be saying that. I won't even put those words in her.
So Mary, Jeannie's allowed. She's allowed to have whatever opinion she wants of Alex, because were people that didn't know Alex, the only thing they know about Alex is that the terrible things that he did. So obviously, right in your feelings for Alex right off the bat have to be terrible. He's a monster. And Lori, they're monsters, they're evil, and what they did was evil, and they were monsters what they did. And I agree with you 100%. But I think what you're saying is that you're almost thinking that all of us who have testified about what Lori and Alex were like before this, you're not giving us credibility, or you think that we don't know what we're talking about, that they've always been evil. I think that's what she's really saying.
And if it is, we don't believe that, but she can believe it.
Yeah, and that's what she wants to believe, and she has the right to believe that. That's why I said everybody has their opinion. Yeah,
and we don't know either. We've never seen into Lori's heart from day one. We've known her since the day she was born. Never seen into her heart. Okay, other people have those spiritual gifts. I don't. Okay. So is it possible that we've been misguided? Yes. That's why I've stopped saying I know stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And started saying I believe. But see, I wanted to use Jeannie Marie also as an example, because Jeannie Marie speaks very, if you notice the comments from the last workshop, the last podcast,
Yeah.
speaks very, if I didn't love her, I would be offended, I think, by the way she speaks, directly and very, I don't know what the word is besides that.
Opinionated because
Opinionated.
that's her opinion, and she has every right to have that opinion because that's all she knows.
And this is why
Lori and Alex from this. Yeah. So I don't have anything wrong. I don't have anything wrong with what she's saying because that's her opinion. That's all she knows.
Yeah. And so that's why I want to point out, we have room for this in the community. We have room for someone to have strong opinions, to voice them. She has never, she has said some things I would have taken offense to personally, but I didn't because I knew her. And because of that, I give that same latitude to other people. But I've never heard her say anything negative about a person, and taking it there. And that's what I want in this community. I want people to be able to state their opinions and have the conversations, even tough conversations, and still do it civilly. To me, this is very, very civil the way she has said it, and the comments she made in the last podcast. So thank you, my friend Jeannie Marie, for that. And Adam, we're past an hour.
Oh, are we?
Of course, we didn't get to everyone's comments, and we never do. But stick with us. Thank you all. We love you in this community. We'd like to see more of you individually. Every chance we get, we'll take that opportunity, whether it's one of you at a time or when we can get together and do meet and greets, we're all for that. But especially here on Patreon, wherever we can do it, because we love being with this community, trying to figure out our lives, trying to support each other, love each other through all the stuff we have to go through in life that's so burdensome. Any closing comments, Adam?
Yeah, here are my closing comments. Tuesday, make sure you're listening for the new podcast. I think we have a great guest on who's been through a lot in her life, more than I think, to me, and I'm not going to spoil everything, but to me, she probably has the highest threshold of emotional pain that you can have of what happened to her. And I explained that in the podcast. And so I think a lot of people will connect with her as you hear the podcast. That's on Tuesday. And then if you're a Patreon member, be on the lookout. Lindsay's going to be sending out a email to you to find out when you want to do the next Zoom meeting with Rex and I. And so be on the lookout for that. We're working all this stuff out as we go. We're not professional podcasters. So we're just
professional anything related to this.
I'm professional pickleball. And you're professional, and you're a professional teacher and skills trainer.
That's it.
Pilot and basketball player.
Okay, well, piloting was a different life, but thanks for that. I love the trips down memory lane. Adam, I saw a couple comments on here I have to comment on, and since we don't have Sean here to put on the music,
I'm fine. I don't have a lot going on. I think me and Melanie have a meeting after this, but that's it.
Okay, Connie said, but you had to wonder about Lori after she married her fourth husband. As far as Lori and husbands, we always wondered about Lori since she chose to marry
Nelson at the very beginning when she was 18. And I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And then Billy, and then or Will.
So let me ask this question. Yeah. Anybody else that's watching right now, do you have any siblings that have been married more than twice? Or 3 times?
I've been married 3 times.
Okay, Rex has been married 3 times. So I don't think being married a certain amount of numbers is a sign of what if you're a bad person or not. I feel like there's a lot of people who have had, a couple of marriages and trying to figure out, who to pick and pick the wrong people or whatever it is, learning as they're going. So just, Lori married 5 times? Yes. Is that odd? Yes. But there's other people who have had great lives and been married 3 or 4 times, 5 times, and had great results from their the last marriage, that they finally found the right person. So I don't know if that's a huge red flag that somebody's going to go AWOL and kill people.
So Connie, let me point this out. Lori, and we're talking about Lori because she murdered her children. There's nothing that would have told us in her life that, oh no, she's on the path to murder her children. Did we wonder about her after yes. But until Charles was killed, as I just mentioned, I didn't realize, good grief, we aren't talking about someone that has bad choices in spouses now. This has gone to a whole different level. This is a Lori I didn't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't put those 2 things together. 4 marriages does not equal murdering children. We didn't have any frame of reference in our mind with any family member, with any experience that those 2 are related. So wonder about people. Yeah, we have lots of family members we wonder about and that wonder about us. We are in that regard a normal family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely.
And same thing with Alex. Could we have foreseen he was going to be a serial killer, follow Lori's made up religion? No, we wouldn't have seen that. Did we wonder about Alex? Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
But he is a member of the family.
But everybody has family members that are odd. Everybody has somebody in their family that's a little bit odd, whether it's a brother, a sister, a cousin, an uncle, a grandparent, whoever. We all have families, and there's always something. Not everybody is perfect in families. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people that think about their family members like, man, what's wrong with him or what's wrong with her? I'm sure that happens a lot. But I don't think you ever go and be like, oh, I think he could kill somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barbara Brown says, why did Lori have so much power over other family members to cut family members off? I want to say something about that, Adam, because it's different for you and I. Lori had no power over me because I didn't have enough interaction with her. But all of my interaction, Adam and Alex, and Stacy, I had a lot of interaction with throughout their lives, different times, back and forth. Adam, not as much when he was living other places, but Lori, I didn't have that. Most everything I knew about Lori was through Janice, because Janice and I have always been close. So we were always talking. I was always aware of what family members, including Lori and Summer, were doing. Okay. But when all of my information came through Janice, so when Lori cut Janice off, by definition, she cut me off. When Lori was doing things that Janice didn't want to talk about, I didn't hear about them. So she had power over Janice first. When I say power, Janice went along with her for whatever. I can't answer that. Why Janice?
I feel like Lori. I feel like Lori's Lies, which is the name of our book, Lori's Lies and Family Ties. I think Lori was a mastermind liar. She told my mom something completely different than she told Summer, to keep them off the path of what she was doing. So she was constantly lying. So the lies that she would tell, and then the way that she was living her life and the things that she was doing before, all this stuff started happening, they all bought into it. She was very convincing of what she was saying. And I have no idea what kind of lies she was telling them. So obviously they chose Lori's lies and went with her instead of listening to me. So Lori was a much better convincer than I was, trying to, say, look, Lori's crazy. We got to get her help. And then Lori probably said, well, he's a monster. He's trying to kill me. Or who knows what Lori said. But I think that they believed Lori. They all believed her. So you talk about control. Yes, Lori did have that kind of control where she was manipulative, a good liar. However she made it look, she spun things. I remember Summer telling me she would spin things to make it look completely legit. The way she would say it, the context, she would have a backup, some text or whatever it was that was made up or whatever. So she doing a lie upon a lie upon a lie. I don't know how she kept it up, because once you start lying and you go down a roll of lies, at some point it's going to catch up to you.
Well said. So we don't have definitive answers, but she had that ability. And so I'm not saying we weren't sucked into that at various times. Of course we were, or I was. I'll speak for me. Believing it in the few interactions I had with her, but we can't speak for the other family members why they believed her in the situations they were in. So that is just a good question, and one that we don't have the answer to for all of them. So with that, I just caught those two comments each other and wanted to do honor that they asked that. But and someone said she probably lied so much she started believing her own lies. Oh, definitely,
for sure,
yeah.
For sure. And I think that started her delusion.
Yeah. And poor Sherry gets on here. We're talking about Mary and everything. She's like, oh no, who's Mary? Another person in this. No, Mary was a friend with Alex before all this went down. We had her on the podcast on that we released this.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and you didn't watch our interview, our last podcast, and you go back and watch it, just know, let Mary be Mary. Let her have her own feelings. Let her be and say the things that she wants to say for her own memories. That's how she feels. We all have our own, everybody has their own right to feel how they want. And I told that to my mom and dad after they cut me off. I told it to Summer. I said, you guys have the right to feel how you want to feel, because this was your experience. But you have to allow me to feel how I want to feel and think how I want to feel because of my experience, what I went through. And I think that's where healing begins, is when you allow everybody feel their own, without judgment or without, oh, you're an idiot, or why do you think this, or, all those things. So if you watch Mary's interview, just know that she's a good person, and she was remembering Alex before all this stuff. And these are just her opinions of what she thought of Alex.
And not only Mary, but any of the guests we have, we hope get that same respect. Hello to the gardeners that are listening from Australia. Just caught them on the last comment here. And Adam, let's close with Joyce's comment up here, reflecting just what you're saying. She says it a little more provocatively. We are all deviants, but most of us control those impulses. Hear, hear.
Love it.
Thank you, Joyce. Right. Thank you all. We'll be talking with you again soon.